safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you. Go out.
If you've been on my community chat, you may have noticed that I've posed this question. Specifically, I said there was a huge election anomaly where Kamala lost a large percentage of the Hispanic votes, and it doesn't make any sense. According to the data that I got from NBC, and with they pulled the exit poll data, it says, according to that data, it says she lost 15% Hispanic men, she lost 9% Hispanic women. So what that came out to, if you because you remember how Trump was saying, oh, wow, there's no way in hell over 80 million people came out and voted for Joe Biden. And a lot of people dismissed it, and they just dismissed it, right? And sure enough, when they were Rudy Giuliani, he was trying to sue Dominion, and he was claiming that those machines were rigged and it was all bullshit. They quickly debunked it, and Giuliani got countersued, and I think he's facing other issues, legal issues. But the fact that Trump is in there now, chances are Giuliani's getting fully pardoned for all that. But they raised an excellent point. They're like, wait a minute. If you had that many people come out for Biden, then first of all, you're telling now look at these are the actual numbers from 2012, and then 2016, and then 2020, and that yellow line indicates the height of the Democrat vote. So how the hell did you have 15 million less people not show up for Kamala Harris? It doesn't make sense. It absolutely doesn't make sense. How did 15 million people not show up for her? Now, first of all, one of the things that I posed yesterday was the fact that you know me, if you've been watching my community chat, I assume black men were going to help cost Kamala Harris this election. Black men just like me who voted for Trump. Now, the funny thing about it is black men actually overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris. 80%, they're saying 80% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. 20% went for Trump. So black men weren't the issue. The issue was, and I hear them saying it, they're saying the issue was the Hispanic vote didn't come out for Kamala Harris. That doesn't make sense. And the simple reason why that doesn't make sense is because Kamala Harris didn't say anything negative about Hispanics. So here you got Donald. Let's look at Donald Trump first. First of all, Donald Trump, one of his comedians who came to his thing, whatever it was, said a negative joke about Puerto Rico, calling it garbage. So that's strike one. Now, number two, if you ask any Mexican or Guatemalan specifically, because I'm thinking of a Guatemalan girlfriend I know, he called us murderers and rapists and everything. So obviously she hates this guy and would never vote for him based on 2016. So that's strike two. And these people don't forget that stuff. So that's strike two. Strike three is, the mere fact that he's literally standing up to say, yeah, I'm about to deport all of you. I'm about to deport every last one of you who's a legal alien, right? So that's three strikes. But that wasn't against Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris never did any of that. You had Ana Navarro out there trying to get the Hispanic vote up for Kamala Harris. You had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, granted, she was here in New York, but I have to assume that other Hispanic district leaders were doing the exact same thing, trying to get that vote up for Kamala Harris. Now, while I do understand why there would be some Hispanic males that would definitely vote for Trump specifically because of financial, reasons, financial gains, it doesn't make there's no way for you to square 15 million people not showing up. That doesn't make any sense at all. My theory is that because that was COVID and because they had absentee ballots and mail-in ballots, my theory is that most of that vote, because there's no way for you to square this. My theory is that most of that vote is fraud because there's no other way for you to square that. Are you honestly telling me that in the election for 2020, that more people voted than ever before? Because even the electorate for Barack Obama, but Obama beat John McCain by about 10 million votes. It doesn't show it here, but you can go on Wikipedia and you can look it up. But Obama beat John McCain by about 10 million of the popular vote, right? When he ran up against Romney, obviously that 10 million shaved off and he got fewer votes, but he still had enough to beat Romney handily electorally, and he had enough to beat him popularly. But when Hillary ran, Hillary was still able to get about, 5 million or so popular votes more than Trump. It's just that Trump destroyed her with the Electoral College. So are you seriously telling me, and you look at the graph, are you seriously telling me that Biden got more total votes than Obama did in 2012? Now, you could also use that argument to talk about Trump as well in 2020. And you could be like, oh, well, look how many more votes Trump got. But you're still telling me that there was an overwhelming amount of votes coming in for Biden? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. So until proven otherwise, I personally believe it was COVID ballots and absentee ballot fraud. Because if you think back, if you close your eyes, you think back, you remember how you had all those allegations about that there were people who were trying to watch them counting the ballots, but they weren't allowed anywhere near the table because you had to do social distancing? You remember all those allegations about ballot boxes disappearing and shit? Or you remember those allegations about ballots showing up, just showing up and the things being just left out in the open? Now, there was a whole lot of allegations. There were video clips and stuff, which you probably, if you were to look back, you'd probably find them. But for the most part, people accepted the outcome, and perhaps maybe they shouldn't have. Because as far as I'm concerned, if Biden was able to pull that many votes during COVID, then the question now becomes, well, why didn't she get anywhere near that many now? Now, what's funny is, and this is how you know we're in the George Orwell era where the internet, the AI on the internet is absolutely watching you. I typed this as a question in my community chat, and I also put it on Facebook, and I also put it on some other place. I can't remember where. But sure enough, the artificial intelligence debunkers and fact checkers automatically targeted me. And then they showed me this. Sure enough, it came from MSN, as in MSNBC. So it says, fact check, did 15 million Democrats not show up in this election? So this popped up just as if it was waiting for me and wanted me to click on it. And this came from Newsweek, and this was 7 hours ago, right? So anyway, it says Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 race was called quickly and had a decisive result after weeks of speculation that the contest would come down to a knife edge. I'd like to stop right there. They were lying to us that entire time. There was no knife edge. He destroyed her. It was a landslide. I think the final number is like 294 to like 212 or 225 or something like that. He annihilated her. And the popular vote was that much more annihilation. He annihilated her. It was the biggest election in the history of elections. So as of Thursday, nearly all contests have been called, while Nevada and Arizona are still checking ballots. Trump was leading in both states as of Thursday morning. The straightforward declaration of this year's results appeared to attract some questions about votes, including, according to a series of viral social media posts, an alleged 15 million absence of Democrat voters compared to the results of the 2020 race. It says the claim, and this came from X, formerly Twitter, 15 million less Democrat voters this time around. 15 million. So one has to ask, what happened? Did they not show up? Did not mail in ballots? How did 15 million disappear? Then this says, the question we must never stop asking, where are Biden's 15 million extra votes? Even Democrats are asking about it, and some are admitting even they now believe 2020 was rigged. Now, again, let's just stop and think about this. Where did all those extra votes go? because the bottom line is, again, they tried to blame the black vote and they tried to blame women for not showing up for Hillary. This time around, black men showed up overwhelmingly for Kamala, except for 20%. But the largest losses were among Hispanic men compared to 2020. And that was -15. With women, it was -9. And that amounted to somewhere like, and I don't know if it was just them, because you also have to factor in the Muslim vote that claimed that it wasn't going to support Biden or Harris. And the Muslim vote, specifically in Detroit, she went down with them too, but those numbers weren't anywhere near as high as what they claim she lost with Hispanics. So one has to ask, what happened to all those votes? But it says the claim about missing votes appears to originate from X account of the hacking group Anonymous. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to shift the blame and trying to blame where it came from as to the validity of the question itself. There's nothing, in my opinion, it's a question worth asking. Whether I was a Democrat or a Republican, if you're telling me that 15 million people didn't show up and that could have turned the entire tide, then the question I have to ask is, well, where'd they go? So anyway, it says, however, with the final turnout yet to be tabulated, the 15 million missing Democrats are almost certainly a mixture of votes still being counted, voters switching candidates, or voters not voting at all. As of 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time Thursday, the Associated Press reports that Donald Trump has secured 295 electoral votes. Kamala has 226. Now, this is from 72,669,000 ballots, while Kamala had 68,012,797 ballots. That is 1.5 million fewer ballots for Republicans and 13.2 million fewer for Democrats than the total count in 2020. 13.2 million. Does that make sense? Really? So anyway, it says many other states are still counting ballots, and Arizona and Nevada's final electoral college votes have yet to be called. In California, a Democratic stronghold, only 55% of ballots have been counted. Yeah, of course California has a problem counting ballots. You see, and this is and it's sad because there shouldn't be allegations of election fraud. And I think if I need to have an ID, now mind you, me buying guns is in the Constitution. I have a Second Amendment right. But you're telling, like, here in New York, let me just say it, this is what they do. If you want to buy a gun here in New York, they make you wait an entire year before you get your pistol permit, right? Now, if you want to walk into a gun store and you want to buy a shotgun, yeah, you can walk in there and they check your driver's license and you can basically walk out with a shotgun, right? But the bottom line is they're still asking for ID. In fact, the last time I went in there to buy AR-15 rounds, they asked for my ID because they said, yeah, that's a new law that they have to write down shit off of my driver's license. And then on top of that, they ask you what's your height and weight. I'm like, what does my height and weight have to do with me buying bullets? Like, that doesn't even make sense. But that's what the law is. And they made that a law, which, as far as I'm concerned, interferes with my Second Amendment right. As I shouldn't. Now, in addition to that, I own semi-automatic rifles, like specifically AR-15, right? And if you want to get a semi-automatic rifle now, Governor Hochul has basically put it so that you have to have an addition to your pistol permit that literally is like a license for semi-automatic rifles. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're not, it's like, are you even allowed to do that shit? I'm waiting for Clarence Thomas and the Supreme Court to strike this shit down and tell this bitch, you don't have a right to do that shit. Because as far as I'm concerned, no, you're interfering with my Second Amendment rights. You don't have that right. Like, I didn't even vote for your ass. I don't even know how you got into that office, except for Cuomo gave it up too early. But anyway, where are we? Why don't you have ID for voting? Because if I need an ID to buy guns, which is a Second Amendment right, if I need an ID to go into a club and I got to prove I'm 18 or 21 or whatever, if I need ID for that, then you should have to have ID to vote. Like, and I'm not talking about any. It should be nothing more than a state ID, either a driver's license or a learner's permit or whatever it is. You should have to have a state ID to vote. Now, when I went to the voting booth, they didn't ask me for any ID, but they did basically ask my name and they asked my zip code. To some extent, that's because I was registered to vote there. That's basically the same thing as asking for identification. Because if I got to tell you my name and zip code, that's basically the exact same thing. But the thing about it is, if I have a parent that has a name that's similar to mine, I could literally vote for my parent. Like if you have a father who has the same middle name or the same last name, well, he should have the same last name. I could vote in his place. So the issue that I have, no, I really think I think we should have safe and secure elections. That's what I believe we should have. Yeah, I think we should have safe and secure elections. If it takes any level of identification to give us that, then that's what we should have. But it says the full picture of the Democratic turnout is yet to be painted, although some polling data indicates changes, as reported by Reuters. Edison Research exit polling showed that self-identified independent voters accounted for a larger share of the election than Democrats, tied with Republicans. The independent share increased by 8 percentage points from 2020, and while most independents favored Harris, Trump increased his performance with the voting bloc by 4 percentage points. So they're saying that this is false, and they're saying the disparity between 2020 and 2024 results appears to be a mixture of ballots still being counted, certain voter block switching, contests yet to be called, and slightly lower yet still very high national turnout. The quoted number of 15 million missing Democrat votes has already altered with counts in strongholds such as California, Oregon, and Washington ongoing. Now, here's the thing. California, Oregon, and Washington. What do all these places have in common? You know what they all have in common? California liberals. That's what they all have in common. Because California itself has basically ruined Oregon and ruined Washington. Because the people who couldn't afford to stay in California, who got squeezed out, they migrated upwards towards Washington. Washington used to be a quiet place, and now California has blown their real estate out. And the same thing has happened to Oregon. Basically, Oregon and Washington are extensions of California for the most part. The same might be said about Colorado, because these people moved there so that they could get high smoking weed because they're potheads and shit. So for the most part, California is like ruining that entire area for the most part. But you got to kind of think about it. Why those states? Why is it those states specifically? So something looks fishy to me. So, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll wait maybe a month or two, and then, okay, let's wait till the inauguration. That's what, January 20th? Then let's look back, because I have to assume they'd finish counting by then. Then let's look back and see how large the electorate was, the total number of people who voted. Then let's look and see how many people voted for Kamala versus how many people voted for Trump versus how many people voted for Trump versus Biden in 2020. Because something isn't right here. Something is not right here. The mere fact that they're saying that Kamala lost the Hispanic vote, does that make any sense whatsoever? The mere fact that the other guy is threatening to send you back to your country and saying that your country is garbage and all this, you're telling me that these people suddenly decided that they weren't going to come out and support her? Something stinks. Something ain't kosher. Something ain't kosher here. So we'll just have to wait. We'll just have to see. All right. So in other news, the Federal Reserve just gave us a rate cut, another interest rate cut. So obviously these people playing politics, because the thing about it is there's no reason why you should be doing this close to an election. Some people might have argued that when they did the first rate cut almost, I think it was about a month ago, that, doing it this close to the election was like playing politics. I also saw a side story that said, yeah, Trump can't fire Jerome Powell because for whatever reason it's not. I guess it's not constitutional, but then again, the Constitution doesn't say anything about a Federal Reserve. As far as I'm concerned, this is like a government within a government scenario. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. He might go after him for all I know. But what does it say? It says so they gave us a rate cut, and they said, what is it? Markets know that the Federal Reserve will lower rates at its September meeting, but there's an unusual level of uncertainty about how much rates will be lowered. As expected, the Fed has been coy about cuts, leaving markets torn between pricing in a 25 or 50 basis point reduction. So what are they saying? They're saying Doves argue that the bigger cut is needed to support a slowing U.S. economy. Long story short is, even with cutting rates, they're saying that what was it called? They're saying that the mortgage rates actually went up. Now, first of all, the Federal Reserve cutting rates really doesn't do much to help first-time homebuyers, because the real problem is that the inventory of available homes is way too low. There's not enough inventory. The homes that do exist are most likely in places that you don't want to live. And for the most part, yeah, we have an inventory issue. So cutting rates, all that does is, I would say, cause some home sellers to probably raise their asking price. And like the home values have not gone down, but the mortgage rates have gone up slightly. So what the Fed cutting rates is ultimately doing is, some people would argue that that leads to more inflation, because cutting rates actually leads to an expansion of the money supply. But that's all these people are good for anyway. We're we're almost $36 trillion in debt. And the average American is neck deep in credit card debt, except me, of course, because I have an 850 credit score, and I pay back my credit cards every other night. But I honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen between Trump and Powell. But we'll just have to wait and see. I honestly have no idea what's going to go on there. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out, because Trump isn't in office yet. He's got till January 20th. He's got till Inauguration Day. That's going to be spectacular. I hear the libs are already planning to start protesting. And hey, that's their right if they want to protest. But the thing about it is, at this point, I would have thought they would realize, listen, you can't stump the Trump. You can't stop this guy. It's like, and now you absolutely, and I keep thinking, it's like, if they had just left this man alone, if Trump was president from 2020 to 2024, if they had just left him alone, right now he'd be gone for good. What they did was they interrupted his presidency, and now he's back. And not only is he back, but he's back with a goddamn mandate this time around. He's back with the popular vote. When you look at that picture, the map, and you see all those districts that are red, all of them support him. Now, I understand, like, somebody tried to tell me, oh yeah, well, land doesn't vote. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? These fucking districts voted. They showed you something, didn't they? They showed you something, right, Kamala? They showed you something, right? Yeah, so the thing about it is, these people, I just don't understand. No, I can't say that. I can't say that I don't understand it. MSNBC, CNN, The View, Urban View, and a lot of these other channels, especially Progressive too, they've been pumping people full of fear. They invented Project 2025 to use like as a scarecrow that you beat up on. I honestly don't believe that Trump knew anything about it. Maybe this is something that somebody made up and they just tried to attribute it to him. I honestly don't believe that he himself wrote this. But the thing about it is, you hear them talk, and it sounds like you haven't, like, it sounds like you haven't made any progress at all. These people are literally talking about slave ships. They're talking about plantations. It's like, guys, it's like you're in 2024. You're walking around with $1,000 cell phone. You're probably driving a car you can't afford from Range Rover, Mercedes, or BMW. You're acting like nothing's changed. You're acting like you haven't, like nothing improved. But when it get the whole race talk thing, and you know who's behind most of that? It's actually these white liberal women like Rachel Maddow. And when you hear them talking, like again, it's almost like nothing's changed. It's like they think nothing's changed. Like, why are you talking about slave ships in 2024? Like, I don't understand that. And then when you really listen to them, they're talking about their civil rights being taken away. And by the way, these are white liberal women. Oh, our civil rights we're talking about. First of all, you didn't have a right to abortion. That was a Supreme Court opinion. That was not a law. They didn't repeal anything. All they did was they said, yeah, the states can choose what they want to do, which is pretty much what the Ninth and the 10th Amendments say that it's supposed to be anyway. The Constitution falls silent on whether or not you're allowed to kill your children before they're birthed. It's like nobody took anything away. There was no right to take. Like, it's not like they took a right from you that you never had a right to take. And I'm listening. And here's the thing. So I'm a black male. I'm a Trump supporter. And and these people are literally trying to convince me that I'm voting against my best interest. It's like, wait a minute. When I pull out my wallet, who the fuck are you to tell me what's in it? Like, how do you tell me how do I feel about how much money I have or how much money I have to spend on overpriced groceries, overpriced fuel, overpriced vacations, and so forth and so on? Like, you've got these Democrat, liberal, white women trying to gaslight me to convince me that my life is not. I don't even know what to say. It's like they're trying to convince me I'm going against my best interests when I know exactly what my best interests are. Like, it's like, how does this happen? It's like, even with and then of course, there's lots of these YouTube pop-ups and TikTok pop-ups where these women are, oh, black man, you're the reason why Kamala didn't win. It's like, no, that's not true. The demographics that have been released say that we overwhelmingly supported Kamala, which me personally, that disappoints me because I really thought black men were going to hand this election over to Trump. But only 20% of us went in that direction. Apparently, it was the Hispanic vote disappearing, which cost Kamala this election 15 million votes or something of that. At least 13 million Democrat votes just poof, disappeared. And now they're trying to come up with an explanation for it, wherein, in my opinion, I personally just think it's fraud. But the finger is getting pointed at us, and people are trying to say that we're voting against our best interests. It's like, who are you to tell me what my best interests are? I just don't understand that. I do not understand that. But that's basically it. I mean, I don't know, man. These people are crazy. But you know what? Let me tell you something. I've been listening and watching them and listening to them because the meltdown, I have to say, it's extraordinarily entertaining. The problem is they're broken records. It's like this dude Clay Kane, and then there's Karen Hunter and Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny. I guess her last name is Hostin. And I'm listening to these people. They sound like broken records. Now, I understand that they have these crappy radio shows, and I understand that they're not very good at doing that. It's like they're on there because of quotas and this, that, and other. I totally understand that. My thinking is, it's like, don't you don't you like grow, or don't you like expand your mind to anything else? But that's like the left progressives, these leftists, like these people are the ones who I really see driving a wedge in the country. And I'll tell you this, Trump and the Republicans, they have a very, very unique opportunity right now, being in control of the Congress, being in control of the Senate and the House, being in control of the presidency and the Supreme Court. They have a very, very unique mandate right now. And the way I see it is, what they need to do is they need to get into these minority neighborhoods, and they need to show, however they do it, even if they have to change the curriculum or whatever, they need to present Republicanism as an alternative to liberalism. They really, or conservatism versus liberalism, Republicanism versus Democrat. They need to somehow offer an alternative. And in order for them to do that, because basically you're dealing with a bunch of welfare cases and all they think about is how much money are you handing me, or what. If that's the case, then what they need to do is they either need to start improving these schools. The Republican Party itself needs to go to these shitty ass schools, and they need to improve these schools. I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe they give you laptops that are red and they say Republican on the back, or iPads for the kids so that they can read, or whatever. But or shit, give them a class set of civics textbooks. I don't know, but they need to be present, and they need to be present in a way where these kids understand that there are alternatives. Because otherwise, the divide in this country, like you keep hearing these people, oh yeah, well, we're more divided than ever before. That divide is never going to change. So what the Republicans need to do, instead of allowing these kids to grow up as liberals and then they suddenly start to turn conservative when all of a sudden they realize, it's like, wait a minute, I have a paycheck and my paycheck's getting taken away from me in taxes, and the neighborhood I grew up in, the neighborhood sucks and there's too much crime and it's Democrat run. They need to offer alternatives. And right now they have a very, very, very unique opportunity to do that, because right now Trump right now basically is a king. Basically. He's not a king per se, but he's basically a king. They've got all of the power. I mean, Kamala lost it all. Like, she lost everything. The Democrats rolled the dice, and they put Biden in there back in 2020, and now it's come back to bite them right in the ass. They've lost it all. Now, there's a very slim possibility that the Democrats might retain the House, because, again, there's a lot of these elections that haven't been called yet. But, nah, man, you lost the House can propose shit, but the Senate can shoot it down. If the Republicans do maintain the House, what you don't have to worry about is these pathetic libs trying to, trying to impeach President Trump for nothing again. Because that's ultimately what screwed him the last time with the impeachments, and they were doing their best to keep him off balance with these impeachments over quid pro. Like, they were just making shit up. I mean, quid pro quo, that's what all presidents do. All presidents call up other presidents of other nations and say, yeah, I'll do this for you if you do that for me. John F. Kennedy told the Soviets, I'll take the Jupiter missiles out of Turkey if you take the missiles out of Cuba. That was a quid pro quo. You don't see John F. Kennedy up there impeached. You saw him get his head blown off when he tried to dismantle the CIA, but you didn't see him get impeached. It's just incredible. It's like, these people are crazy. But see, that's the problem. You're dealing with people who are literally trying to sabotage you. That's one of the other things I'll just mention really quickly before I go on to the market. I was listening to Karen Hunter. Karen Hunter is a moron. She's one of them angry ass cat with them. What did JD Vance call him? He called him. So anyway, I was listening. That's when I want to listen to the liberal media meltdown. I listen to Clay Kane and I listen to Karen Hunter because listening to the meltdown is hilarious. But she's what JD Vance referred to as one of these childless cat women, right? And as he asked, he's like, yeah, well, we don't want these people running the country. So anyway, she came up with this idea called the Party of Lincoln. And what she was basically trying to do is get blacks to register to be Republicans, because what she was trying to do was get them to go into the primaries, to disrupt the primaries by basically primarying and getting rid of whoever, I guess she didn't like, because I'm guessing she would have stayed the head of it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, and by the way, she admitted that the reason why they couldn't go forward with this idea was because she was claiming that the people didn't understand and it was too obtuse and all that, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, you mean to tell me that you've got nothing better to do with yourself than to try to figure out how to sabotage everybody else's elections? And that's just it. I mean, again, it's like, of course nobody followed your plan. First of all, they got better things to do. A lot of them actually have families and children, to take care of. So they had better things to do than to follow around your stupid ass idea about sabotaging these other people's elections. And then the question that you'd also have to ask yourself is, how far could you really get doing that? Do you think nobody's going to notice? It's like, first of all, you don't have enough people in enough places to do that. And even if you did, why would you want to sabotage other people's elections? The whole point of these elections, and you know what? And that's where I'm probably going to stop. The Democrats have been projecting their own fascist tendencies onto Trump. Now, you can make the argument that trying to, quote unquote, overthrow the election and all that, you can try to make the argument that that was a fascist thing. But here's the thing. Trump was never actually charged with insurrection, nor was he convicted of it. Sonny on The View was trying to say, oh, yeah, well, maybe there's a way the 14th Amendment can be used against him and everything. It's like, listen, moron. The 14th Amendment, when they talk about, insurrection, that was supposed to be used against Confederate the Confederates who would try to run for office, right? None of that shit applies to the president, though. So here's the problem. He was never charged with insurrection, and he was never convicted of it. Now you're dealing with a Republican Senate. Do you ever think that you're going to have the opportunity to charge this man as an insurrectionist and convict him? If you didn't do it the first time, then how are you going to do it now? And even I was like, wait a minute. Why are y'all trying to impeach this man when there's only 2 weeks left of him even being in there? But these people are vindictive, and they were hoping. They're so stupid. That's why I like Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks, because I was listening to him this morning. He's like, these people are so stupid that it's almost like they have a moral imperative to be just smarter than you or something. And I guess that's why they all chase after these PhDs, these worthless ass liberal degrees, but these liberal studies degrees that are worthless. But these people act like they're just smarter than you and that they have some type of imperative that they have to be intellectually better than you. And my thinking was, it was like all they were concerned with was putting Trump down in the history books as a failed president and putting him down as the worst president ever. But these idiots never considered the possibility that this guy was going to run against them and keep coming back. I keep saying, if they had just left this man alone, he would have had 2 terms. He would have just left, and he would have been gone. Now he's back, and this time he's more powerful than ever. It's like with Darth Sidious, he said, strike me down with all your hate, and your path to the dark side will be complete, and I'll be more powerful than ever. It's like, you morons. You struck him down. He told you to strike him down. You did it. And now he's more powerful than ever. And now he's a Force ghost. and he's got fucking lightning shooting into the sky, and he's able to shoot all of the freaking X-Wings at the same time. It's like, what have you done? You turned this guy into a fucking god, you idiots. You idiots. And so this person, Karen Hunter, she was the same one who, when Trump first won, oh yeah, we're going to war, we're going to war. Well, guess what? When Trump won, we didn't start any new wars, and we started the phase pullout from Afghanistan, which was done under Biden poorly. But Biden was so busy getting us into Ukraine and getting us into dealing with Israel over this Gaza Strip, this Gaza incident. It's like y'all put together 2 wars without end, and here you're talking about Trump, and Trump did everything he could to keep us out of war and even try to make peace with North Korea, Kim Jong-un. It was from then on, I was like, yo, these people are idiots. Like, these people are stupid. Like, these people are really stupid. It's incredible how stupid they are. But, again, Trump won. The argument's over. They've had their asses kicked up into their shoulder blades. So that's basically it. But it just astounds me. I'm like, you got somebody literally sitting around trying to figure out how to sabotage your freaking primaries. I mean, that's just sad. That's just sad. That's sad. It's deplorable. It's absolutely deplorable. So this is the last thing I'm going to talk about is the stock futures. So basically, I'm not even going to talk about this very long because I've already talked about this enough. The bottom line is I'm buying dividend-paying stocks. Dividend-paying stocks make it so that when the market go up, market go down, yeah, you'll see the values of the shares that you hold go up and down. But the bottom line is because of the fact that they pay dividends, whether the market goes up or down, you're still gonna win. And that's the bottom line. I'm winning whether the market goes up or down. Now, with the Trump presidency announcement, we had a rally. And that rally sent me up. I jumped up like $25,000. Part of that was because Tesla, look at Tesla. Look at the jumps. Look at these jumps. Tesla jumped up. Look at that. This is a 1 week. All of these things are 1 week. Everything jumped. Everything that I held jumped. Intel, tell me I'm lying. I told y'all to buy Intel because Marjorie Taylor Greene was buying Intel. I said this shit like last month. The video's still there. Look at that. Intel jumped from $22 to $26. How about that? And I was telling, and it was nice and cheap. What was it? SMCI, they did this split. Now, SMCI is still down a little bit, but they did this split. I told you to buy into that split. Let me tell you something. When NVIDIA releases those 5090s and the 5000 RTX series, that's when you're going to see all this AI shit. Poof! It's going to go right through the goddamn ceiling. You'll see. All of this stuff works together. You have to have CPUs for your GPUs. You got to have memory for your GPUs and CPUs. You got to have all of this shit works together. I've been saying this for so long. All these values just poof, right through the window. Right, sky. AVGO went from 160 to like 180 something. It's like, I've been saying it. I've been saying it. I've been telling you about this stuff. Microsoft, where's Microsoft? Microsoft, 425, yeah, not bad. Apple, 227. NVIDIA's at all-time highs, 148. I was telling y'all, I was like, y'all got to buy this NVIDIA stocks, but I kept telling you. So, bottom line is, we're still riding the Trump wave. If the Federal Reserve, and this is why I mentioned the Federal Reserve with the interest rate drop, if the Federal Reserve drops interest rates, it sends the stock market slightly higher. And because what you're ultimately doing is you're expanding the money supply, you actually make it cheaper for people to buy stocks on margins. You got a lot of these people who are buying options and stuff like options trading. But as far as I'm concerned, if you don't know much about trading stocks, the easiest thing you can do, dividend-paying stocks, buy the credit cards. There's 4 of them. Discover, MasterCard, American Express, Visa. Or buy the banks. You got JP Morgan, Capital One, Wells Fargo. There's a couple of them. The ones that pay dividends. Or you could also buy the gas oil companies, Exxon, Chevron, BP, Valero, so forth and so on. If you don't know anything about stocks, the easiest thing you can do is build yourself a portfolio that pays dividends, because what it'll do is it'll train you to want to buy more stocks that pay dividends, because each year when you get the dividends given to you in the form of money, and you see that your money has been slowly growing while creating more money because of the dividends that the companies are sharing with you, because basically dividends come from the profits of the companies and they distribute it to their shareholders. What you'll do is you'll take that money and you'll use that to buy even more dividend paying stock. So the money compounds and the payments that you get from the dividends compounds with it. So even if the market is up or down, and this is something I learned from Papa John's, or the CEO of Papa John's, even if the market goes up or down, it doesn't matter. You're still winning. You're still winning because you've got dividend paying stock. So that's all I got to say. I've been on here for a little while. And I'm not going to talk too much about this election no more, because at this point, everybody's talking about this election, because you got half these people are suffering from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief. They are, what is it? The first part is shock. And then after that, you got denial. And then you got the anger. And then you've got at a certain point, you get to a phase of bargaining where you try to figure out a way to bargain your way out of this shit. There is no bargaining for these people. Trump is going to be president and Kamala is going to disappear. There is no bargaining. And then after bargaining, I believe it just hits acceptance. At the acceptance phase, they're like, oh, well, I guess we're fucked. And that's it. Now, right now, I would say a lot of them are in the shock phase. Some of them are in the anger phase. They may fluctuate between phases because some of these people are planning to protest Trump's inauguration. I don't know who'd be stupid enough to go down to Capitol Hill after we saw January 6th, because I'll tell you this, I don't like crowds. I don't like being in crowds. Every time I see crowds, first of all, you never know. Some of these people are stupid. Some of these people do stupid shit. Some of these people are targets for other people, and you might end up being a target, because you're near that person. I don't do crowds. But the bottom line is, these people are suffering from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief. And the bottom line is, they're going to be suffering for a while. My recommendation, you don't want to be nowhere near them. That's my recommendation. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, my recommendation, you don't want to be nowhere near these people. Other than that, that's basically it. So, I'm not going to talk about the election too much more because everybody's talking about it. I'm enjoying listening to all of the commentary because these people, what did the Democrats do wrong? What should the Democrats have done? Let me tell you something. This is the last thing I'm going to say. What kills me is the fact that all these people are busy talking about racism. All these people are busy talking about sexism. But the one thing that they refuse to talk about is the economy. Biden's economy was shit. Once 2021 rolled around and they started that shit with Russia and they put them sanctions on Russian energy, and all of a sudden gas prices here went to like $6 and $7. Let me tell you something. From that point on, I was like, wait a minute. Biden's a one-term president. There's no way this guy is going to be able to stay there. No way. That gas price rise, and I've heard some people say, you don't care about these children's future. All you're worried about is 5 cents a gallon of gas rise. I was like, listen, you idiots. When gas prices go up, the price of everything goes up because everything has to be shipped to the stores for you to buy it. So you made it so bacon prices went up, eggs went up. Hey, do you know a carton of fucking eggs was like $7? I ain't never seen no shit like that before. There's a lot of things where the food prices are inflated and they still haven't gone down. Orange juice went up. It was like, you don't think any of that had, like, let me tell you something. When you look at that electoral map where Trump won, all of those people can't be racist. A lot of those people just want low prices for their food and their gas. And that's it. But these are all the View. Oh, well, what about the young women who just had their civil rights snatched? It's like, I don't know how to break it to you, but nobody gives a fuck, okay? That's not what this is about. This is about gas prices, like $4 a gallon of gas. This is about food prices. Bacon is like freaking $10 a pack. And we saw this the inflation. It hit with Biden's president. I was like, wait a minute, there's no way this guy can run again. There's no way. No way. But some people want to pay, oh, it's racist, it's sexism, it's misogyny, and all that bullshit. And and it was funny because Stephen A. Smith, I'm listening to this guy, Stephen A. Smith is on there, and he's busy talking, like all the talking points that The View doesn't want to use, where he's talking about how Biden exposed himself when he did that debate versus Trump. He exposed himself, and how everything was downhill after that. Then you got Sonny over there. Oh, well, what about Trump? It's like, listen. First of all, let the man talk because he actually knows what he's talking about. But y'all on here, I don't know if it's a lack of intellectual honesty or what, but it's like these people are so full of shit that it's like they lie to themselves. Like, it's just astounding. Like, to watch them with their bullshit, it's unbelievable. They literally had you thinking that this race was neck and neck. They had you believing that all of these states, Kamala's neck and neck. It's like, no, she's not. No, she's not. In the states that voted for her, she was way ahead. But in the whole rest of the country, it's like, nah, nope. Trump 2024. That's what happened. It's absolutely just astounding. But that's all I gotta say, because otherwise I would keep ranting. But that's it for now.
And I thought that breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yeah, I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
Yeah.
To be continued.